Hello and welcome to another NGS cast. Uh, this is my first time casting a match, so I'm excited. It's a relatively high stakes match between Ice Crowned Citadel Raiders and Almost Legends Ruby. The winner of this match will secure second seed in Division C East, while the loser will be third seed, if I remember correctly. To start things off, we had some map bans. Almost Legend Ruby opted to ban Braxis Holdout and Volskaya Foundry, while Ice Crown Citadel Raiders banned Tomb of the Spider Queen and Towers of Doom. Ice Crown Citadel Raiders chose to pick first as they won the coin toss, so Almost Legends Ruby chose the map and brought us to Battlefield of Eternity. I did a little bit of scouting, so I have a tiny guess of what people are going to play. In the past, when Almost Legends Ruby have drafted on this map, they've opted to pick both of their DPS for their first two picks on second pick, which is interesting, because a lot of the times when you're drafting, you'll look to have a flex DPS in the later picks and try to hide your strategy a little bit more, but they've just gone full race and picked like Vala plus Li Ming, which are very strong heroes on this map. I'd be curious if they're going to do that again this game, because it's worked for them in the past. Although, both of those heroes tend to be quite contested. So, we'll have to see. Sounds like the Raiders are having some minor technical difficulties. So, we'll just have to wait a minute for them to sort things out. Seems like everyone is back and ready, so hopefully we'll be getting started and into the draft momentarily. All teams are ready. Let's get into Battlefield of Eternity. For bans, I'm hoping that whoever's second pick, that would be Raiders, will ban Rhaegar, because I think that Rhaegar is disgusting and gross and should not be allowed to be played. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. If you are specifically looking to counter Rhaegar, then maybe you can let it through, but it's not something that I personally would want to risk. Johanna was hit pretty hard by that last batch of damage nerfs, and I am less worried about her getting through, but blinds on this map can be good, because they can just be really disruptive if the other team has something like a Greymane that they're relying on for race. Heavy auto-attacker. First ban is Li Ming, which, not too surprising on this map. Raiders do not want to first pick it, clearly. And it's something that Almost Legends Ruby have played in the past. Second bench on it, sure. Feel bad for the timer. Lunara ban. Lunara is another good poke hero, so that's two of them out of the way. Hanzo is the last real... Or when I think of the poke heroes, it's like Li Ming, Lunara, Hanzo, top three. Vala can also be very strong, but it's shorter range than the others, even with their Q build. I guess Lunara is similar range to that. But you do have to use her mobility, the dash for Vala, offensively in order to get that same amount of damage with the QE reset talent at 4. Stukov ban. Oh, Vala first picked. Okay. They do not want Almost Legends Ruby to get either the Li Ming or the Vala. I would not be surprised if we saw a Hanzo here for Almost Legends Ruby. I don't know if it's something that they've played in the past, but it is a common pick on this map. Also, maybe Anduin along with it, because that's a healer that both of these teams have played a significant amount of. Variant Anduin. That's interesting. Variant I don't think of as being quite as high priority on this map, but clearly they want to blow up a single target, or they could be using it as a flex between tank and offlane, trying to use Twin Blade variants as another racer. For Raiders, I'd expect them to pick up Rhaegar here, along with either their offlane or a tank. But they're going to opt for Lucio and Blaze. Blaze probably offlane as well, but it could be flexed to tank if they really want to. And Lucio, I believe, is a comfort pick for Zinzi, and also strong into taunt variant, with High 5 being able to cleanse the taunt on a very short cooldown. Well, I'll see you in 90 seconds. And welcome all to the stream.
With every death comes on. Our time has come.
While I was distracted, that's a Jaina ban as well as the Mei ban. Jaina seems like a more targeted ban against them. They're going to pick up Hanzo and Artanis. Hanzo, as I was talking about, very strong on this map, able to poke the objective from long range, and Artanis, another strong ratio. So that is likely going to be a taunt variant. Kerosene and Anubuak. I don't see Kerosene quite as often. That's less of a meta hero, and they're going for double healer with the Vala. That is quite an interesting comp. They do have a lot of CC with Blaze and Anubarak. I'm curious to see what Almost Legends Ruby is going to pick into it. Kel'Thas. They do not have a whole ton of sustained damage on Almost Legends Ruby with Hanzo and Kel'Thas. I generally think of Hanzo as more of a caster, even going the W build. I guess if you're auto-attacking along with it, gets a large damage boost at 7 with the cooldown reduction talent. But before then, you might have a hard time dealing a ton of damage in a longer extended fight. Vala, I would expect to go Q build, but with 2 healers, I would expect them to go auto-attack build. Q build because there's a talent you can take where you increase the damage to the objective by a significant percent. So that can burn it very quickly. But they might go auto-attack because it's the higher sustained damage build, and they're putting a lot of, I guess, points into their Vala. A lot of resources into the Vala with both the Kharazim and the Lucio. So, let's get into things. On the left side, in the blue, we have Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders, with Xerxes 89 on the Vala, Mr. Papercut on the Kharazim, Zin 7E on the Lucio, X-Havoc on the Anubarak, and in the offlane, Dark Knight on the Blaze. On the right side, in the orange, we have Conflicted in the offlane on Artanis, Wiggity on Anduin, King on Kel'Thas, Chicken Meow on Hanzo, and Krogdawn on Varian. In general, I would expect Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders to win most exchanges from levels 1 through 3, because Varian will be a melee minion not having taunt yet. He'll get his ultimate at level 4 and be able to start doing things at that point. If Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders play this well, they'll likely be able to get the bottom camp before level 4. This camp down here. Oh, that's a big stun from the Blaze, follow-up stun from Anubarak. Hanzo just barely going to escape with his trait, and Kel'Thas gets chunked to half. Blaze was just camping that bush for a while, letting Artanis get the free clear in the offlane, but he's going to miss about 0 XP for it, unless Artanis can get a swap on him here. There's the swap, and looks like 3-4 of those globes are going to expire. Or at least go to 25% value before the Blaze can pick them up. For talents, we have Q-Build Vala. So not auto-attack even though they're double healing. And what other stacks do we have? We have W-Build Hanzo, that's expected. Because of it also has an increased damage to monsters talent. So it can deal quite a lot of damage to the Immortal. Bavarian, that is going to be Taunt. Kel'Thas, that is Globes, which is the meta. Blaze once again rotating down, stun onto the Hanzo and the Kel'Thas. Seems like they're blowing up the Kel'Thas, but Hanzo gets the pull. Hanzo will make it out okay, Kel'Thas most definitely will not, and they're going to start up this bottom camp, while Blaze rotates back into the top lane, and will miss a few minions worth of soak. So, even though Almost Legends Ruby has been losing out pretty heavily on these exchanges, they're still dead even in soak, because Blaze has missed most of them. That's a root from the Anduin coming out onto Kharazim, but they do not have the damage to follow it up, and no CC from their tank yet, as they are not level 4 yet. Around the 2-minute 30 mark is when I would expect teams to start looking for their camp. Vala going up there right now. Get a start on it, and I would expect Almost Legends Ruby to go up there soon. Reasoning for that is, if you have the camp pushing along with the objective, it can give you a numbers advantage in a fight around the objective, if your opponent is having to respond to the camp at the same time as fighting the objective. If both teams do it, however, it gets neutralized. So you just don't want to be the one that doesn't do it. Anubarak got chunked really low in some exchange following. I'd expect they got taunted by the Varian. Hanzo's stacking really well, already up to 14 by the 3-minute mark. I tend to have a hard time with this stack, with that stacking. Ice Crown Citadel Raiders captured their camp first, so it seems like Almost Legends Ruby is prioritizing killing the camp, while Ice Crown Citadel Raiders have all 5 of their members burning the objective right from the start. And that'll be first halftime going to Ice Crown Citadel Raiders. Probably would have been difficult for them to fight that given how low mana the Varian was. I would expect them to just try to get some amount of burn on the Immortal to take the shield down as low as they can get it, but this objective will be going over to the Raiders. That's a significant amount of burn. Even though they started it later, they nearly got half of it killed. Seems like we have a 5-man rotation from the Raiders into the top lane while Artanis is going bot lane to soak. So this will be a numbers advantage fight with the Immortal for the Raiders once the Kerosene gets here. Some Kel'Thas damage chunking ball at a half. Stun from the Immortal, not going to hit anyone just yet. Anubarak's looking for a stun onto 2. Taunt onto the Anubarak and takes him to half. But this Immortal's going to fall before it gets way too much damage on the fort, and does not seem like Ice Crown Citadel Raiders want to push too much further with the Anubarak burrowing away. Hanzo's resetting, gonna get mana while there's not a whole lot happening. Play's just sitting out of vision, threatening to roam, but still sitting bot lane. It's like Karazeem's rotating into the bot lane. They might go for this bottom camp. It is spotted out by the Artanis, so Almost Legends Ruby could go for the top camp at the same time if they want to, given that that's where they have the numbers advantage. They're going to look for a taunt onto the Anubarak, follow-up root from the Anduin, stun from the Kel'Thas, lots and lots of damage, but he's going to get out with 350-ish HP. Meanwhile, Raiders did get that camp in the bottom lane, not a whole lot Artanis can do in the 1v2. And that is just for free. Objective's going to be spawning again in 30 seconds, this time in the vertical positions. And I would expect Almost Legends Ruby to be a bit more aggressive on this one, given that there's nobody on their team that's completely out of resources at this point. Baron's looking for a taunt. Maybe they'll spot out this Anubarak. Taunt onto the Anubarak, follow-up root from the Anduin, no stun from the Kel'Thas this time. Living Bomb spreads onto the Lucia, but they'll all be okay. Anubarak is very low. 3-man stun from the Blaze. Artanis gets a swap onto the Vala. Varian charges in, but has no taunt to lock her down, and she will be able to vault away. Health bars on Almost Legends Ruby are low, about half. Seems like they're gonna go for a tap and try to re-engage, but Almost Legends Ruby is going to have the advantage in the race for now. Anubarak running and gets a stun on the Hanzo. Taunt from the Varian onto the Anubarak. Karazeem jumps in but gets stunned by and swapped by the swapped by the Artanis, but Anduin is the one to fall on the side of Almost Legends Ruby. And that, with no healer for them, it should be hard for them to recontest. That's a swap onto the Anubarak, but he'll be able to burrow charge away. And these two heroes, Anubarak and Lucia, should be very hard to lock down. Just with how much mobility they have. When Anubarak doesn't have the burrow charge, he has less mobility, but that unstoppable is strong. This is the defensive positions, which I would say may be advantageous for Raiders, just because they're currently up level 10s. That's stuns onto so many people. Lots of damage coming out onto Kel'Thas. He's gonna die to the Blaze bunker. 2-man Hanzo error, but they're all in the bunker now. Vala dropping super low and gonna die to the Anduin. Anubarak gonna burrow out with just a few hundred HP, and now it is a 4v4 with both teams losing a DPS. But once again, the health bar advantage is on the side of Almost Legends Ruby. Anubarak is currently hearthing to get full resources, while Raiders is going to give up this objective in exchange for their camp. They do not want that fight. Which makes sense, given that they are very reliant on Vala for their damage. They are playing double healer. This objective will come into the bottom lane, as it is the more defended lane. But it seems like Almost Legends Ruby is going to have time to clear out this camp before it can get any value. And the objective is maybe going to get this whole, probably going to get this whole wall and maybe the fort, but it will be hard to get the full fort unless they get some kills. Blaze is currently rotating down, so it'll be a 5v4 in ICC Raiders' favor. Even though they do not have the objective, it does not seem like Almost Legends really want this fight. That's pull on the Hanzo to get him out of danger. Dragon's Arrow is going to miss, and no fight will break out.
Attack has failed, yet we have not seen the end of him.
Seems like Raiders are going for this bottom camp once again. Almost Legends Ruby is going to spot it out, but they might not be able to contest in time. Seems like Varian's just going to sit in that bush for now. Varian has the light bomb, but it whiffs. And there is nobody taking any damage. How is everyone still at full health? Do more damage. I'm disappointed in you. The top lane, Blaze gets this fort as the Artan is rotated down to create a 5v4. It was already low from the objective push earlier, but that little bit of time that Blaze had alone with the fort was enough to kill it. Now, once again, it's a 5v4 in favor of ICC Raiders. But it does not seem like Almost Legends Ruby is very much interested in doing things in lane. They're instead going to prioritize their camp before the next objective spawns in 30 seconds. Varian just looking to catch the soak and not die. Should be able to do so, as Raiders are very focused on getting the tower. Taunt comes out on the Kerosene, but high five will be enough to get him out. Objective spawns in 5 seconds, and it seems like Raiders have a more advantageous position on it, or at least they're more towards the halfway point and are able to clear out that camp without it getting much value. It's defensive positions this time, so someone's going to have to take a fight for anything to happen. Varian's looking for a taunt target, but does not want to go under the Blaze. It's Dragon's Arrow onto the Blaze. High five comes out onto him. Anubarak cocoons the Anduin, but Living Bomb on the thing. Pyroblast coming out onto the Blaze. Varian taunt, as that's going to be enough to kill him. 7-sided strike. Anduin root misses. Living Bomb spreads onto the Lucio and will kill the Vala as they were standing next to each other. Pull to save the Artanis. And it is currently a 5v3 in favor of Almost Legends Ruby. Taunt comes out on the Anubarak. High five gonna get him out, but that once again spreads the Living Bomb onto the Lucio. Man, that Lucio is getting Living Bombed to death when he goes in for those high fives. Kael'thas coming down bot lane to catch Soak and possibly push down this fort, but that would be a bit aggressive given how much CC the other team has. That is objective going over to Almost Legends Ruby, and that is a full shield on it as well. They also get both orbs, which is the most important part of it. It's currently a 4v4 in the top lane. Both the offlaners are scrapping down there. Seems like they're hitting each other, but nobody's dropping particularly low. This objective is just going to start wailing on this fort. I would be very surprised if it doesn't go down here just to the objective on its own, with that full shield. Varian charges onto the Anubrak but does not get the taunt off. Objective stun onto the Lucio and taunt onto the Anubrak. Rain of Vengeance comes out for some peel. And seems like Raiders are just going to be able to disengage this and kill the objective at their keep wall. Almost Legends Ruby are not done yet. They're still looking to get a bit more value. It's Flame Strike onto 3. Just behind their wall, they were all very clumped up. And that is the full keep wall. And Varian just keeps charging it and not taunting. That is so threatening. Taunt onto the Kerosene. Use 7 strikes to cleanse and get out. I don't actually think that's a cleanse, but after it ends, he can go invulnerable for a second. And be sure there's no follow-ups. Almost Legends Ruby going for that top camp. Raiders sending 5 down to the bottom camp. They'll likely be able to pick it up. But there may be a fight if Almost Legends Ruby rotates quickly. Ruby is currently up 16, so I don't think Raiders would want a fight right now. They're the 16 talents for both teams. I would not expect these camps to get too much value either way. Maybe if Almost Legends Ruby had the bottom lane camp, they could get more push onto this fort, but they might just be able to do that with 5 people as Blaze went top lane to clear the camp that they did get. Anubrak charges in, stuns the Varian. Varian's looking for a taunt but can't find it. Rain of Vengeance once again to peel away, but Living Bomb spreads onto the Vala and the Lucio. And chunks them both down to about half. Immortal's going to be spawning in about 30 seconds. Teams are likely going to just go for their own camps at this point. Unless they are looking for an invade. It seems like they're just going to split these 2 camps. Almost Legends Ruby opting to hold it for a few seconds to have it be pushing for longer once the objective is spawned. These are the very aggressive positions. Oh no, these are defensive again. I had it backwards. Defensive positions once again, so there will be a fight over the objective. So far, Almost Legends Ruby has been clean sweeping these objective fights. The kills are even, but a lot of the kills that ICC Raiders got were from the very beginning of the game. Because Artanis is currently clearing the bot lane, they're not looking to take this fight. At some point, someone will have to clear that top lane bruiser camp, so they should be able to take this relatively slow for Almost Legends Ruby. That is about a third of the Immortal going down, but that is not halftime. At this point, 2 members, Kerosene and Blaze, going top lane to clear out this camp, while now Almost Legends Ruby is getting their turn on the Immortal. Their burn seems like it's going quite a bit faster, as they get it to halftime. That's a stun onto the Kael'thas, but pull is enough to get into safety. Anubrak, however, got cocooned in the backline, blind onto 5. So Vala is not dealing that much damage. Stun from the Immortal is going to be taken down. Lightbomb lands onto the Blaze, but Anubrak burrows in and lands a stun onto Varian. Pyroblast plus a Varian Q alone is enough to just 2-shot the Vala. Someone did not take Gloom against a Pyroblast. That's taunt onto the Anubrak. Living Bomb spreads between Anubrak and Blaze, and they're all chunked very low. That is a 1-for-1 trade with the Vala dying as well as the Artana. But seemed like Hanzo is going to back, but he will stay, and they will look for a recontest on the objective as they are missing their key damage. Anubrak is also incredibly low on mana. Taunt onto the Anubrak, follow-up stun from the Kael'thas, spreads Living Bomb onto Lucio once again. Everyone on the side of Almost Legends Ruby is so low, but they have AoE healing from this Anduin, and ICC Raiders do not have their Vala in this double healer composition. That is Hanzo taking down the Anubrak. And I would not be surprised if this was just the objective for Almost Legends Ruby. They're currently 5v4. They're trying to... Artanis gets the Blind on the 3. Hanzo lands a stun, taunt onto the Kerosene. Just barely. 2,500 health remaining on that. If that blind had not come through, that probably would have been the objective for the Raiders. This is once again going to the bot lane. We'll be pushing onto this full keep wall, and the wave is currently quite pushed out for the Raiders. They don't need to worry about pressure from 2 lanes at this point. It's just all 5 members pushing in bottom. So I'm just looking for a sneaky swap over the wall, but the side wall had not fallen yet, so fallen yet, so that would have been incredibly risky. Haunt onto the Blaze, gets stunned by the Immortal, but the Lucio cleanse lands on both of those CCs. Living Bomb not... oh, it spreads onto the Lucio. But this keep is going to fall just now. Taunt onto the Anubrak. He gets swapped into the team, drops super low. Living Bomb not going to spread this time. And he'll be able to return to the Hollow Storms to heal. Kerosene goes in with a 7-sided strike, gets stunned by the Dragon's Arrow, but it is Anduin that goes down, got caught on the Core's fire and stunned by the Vala. Vala getting another kill with those Rain of Vengeance. And Varian just running away, trying to kite the team and peel as best as he can. He knew that he was going to die. They're just trying to get as many people out alive as they can. In this case, that is only one. Hanzo is the only person that survives for Almost Legends Ruby. I wonder what value... let's see what value Raiders can get in response. They had this big wave pushing in top lane, so I would not be surprised if they were able to get this fort or this keep at least. And possibly they could look for an end, but it would be risky. Is that a rewind from the Anubrak to get those 2 burrow charges and more beetles to tank this keep? The members of Almost Legends Ruby are still dead for another 30 seconds. They could look for the end here. Seems like they're going to. Everyone's hitting core with everything they can. Lucio's tanking the core. Vala using that QE reset, but she is out of mana and cannot continue to. Anduin goes for a light bomb on himself and gets a stun onto the Vala. Hanzo's chunked super low. This fight is so scattered. Blaze uses bunker on core, 2 people inside, and that is the game for Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders. That was a crazy game. Very well played to both teams. There you go. I want to look at some talents. Vala did not go Gloom. That is my biggest complaint here against the Pyroblast Kel'Thas. That 15 increased spell armor by default, plus you can activate it for more, is so valuable against 2 high spell power heroes. Looking for other talent choices that really stand out to me. I mentioned this at the start of the game, but I do like Q-Build Vala on this map, but with 2 healers, it feels a little rough, because you just don't have as much damage as you can potentially with auto attacks. Double pull from Anduin, as expected. Warbringer instead of the full protect at level 10. That's a little odd, given that Vala did not go auto attacks, but it's good. Both 10s are good on Varian. Beta build from Anubrak, still very, very strong, despite the spell, the buffs to that level 1 spell armor. I really like that level 1 spell armor talent on Anubrak. Up until those last couple of fights, Almost Legends Ruby were ahead in kills and ahead in structures. And then they all died on core, and Raiders just turned around and ended the game on the spot. It was a very good core call. We we have our map selection for game 2. We'll be going to Infernal Shrines. I do not know who picked it. I'll ask. I guess I can just see who is first pick. We'll be waiting for a minute. Almost Legends Ruby are taking a short break. Given that Icecar and Citadel Raiders won that last game, I'd assume that the losing team chooses first pick, as that has been what most people have been going for. And that appears to be what has happened here with map picked by the Raiders. Oh, and they won this map too. It's a good thing to show. Seems like both the teams have readied. One team did not say they were ready, so I was not fully expecting it. But we are going to draft on Infernal Shrines. What adaptations will these teams do from that previous game? I would expect the bans to be completely different for both sides, given that they've swapped sides, and also they're not on Battlefield of Eternity. Battlefield of Eternity's meta is very different from most other maps. Like, maps have their own, like, few heroes that tend to be good on that map, but I feel like Battlefield of Eternity has, like, you must draft race. There's a stipulation that leads to some very different picks, like the high priority on Artanis, for example. You don't really see Artanis being drafted on many other maps. I guess Hanamura, because it can solo the camp with that amateur opponent talent at 1. But not too often other places. Junkrat, meta ban, and also a target ban. Raiders have played quite a bit of Junkrat. I hate playing against Junkrat and love playing Junkrat, so I respect it. That hero is rather silly. Joanna Ben, another silly hero getting taken out of the game. Lots and lots of utility. With massive long duration AoE cleanse, or single target, or multi-target stun blow up. It stuns the entire team. For whatever reason. I love the level 20 shield upgrade, because it increases the stun duration on all targets to be the max duration. So the secondary targets get stunned for a super long time as well. It's, I don't know, it just is a lot of fun. Stukov once again being banned out from Almost Legends Ruby. They do not want to see Stukov. I wonder if their read on the meta is just that Stukov is OP, or if that one's a target ban. Sylvanas ban. Sylvanas, very good at split pushing on this map, and also has some amount of clear on the objective, but not the same level of AoE damage as some of the majors, like the Kael'thas or Jaina. Given that Jaina was banned in the third time, or banned 3 by, I believe it was Raiders banned that last time, I would not be surprised to see that in the 2-3, although that would mean they were picking both their DPS with the first pick Taika. That's also, I believe, a bit of a takeaway from Raiders, because they've also played quite a bit of Taikas. And Odin is very strong on this map as a level 10, just giving you a lot of shrine control. They'll choose to take away the Jaina instead of giving it away on the 2-3, and as well picking up the Anduin. That was takeaway from Almost Legends Ruby from the last map. They had that. Anduin had some good pulls, lots of saves on that last Battlefield of Eternity game. Will we see the variant again, or will they be switching it up? Muradin Brightwing. Brightwing is a strong meta hero. Muradin is a bit more out there. You have to go in a lot deeper, but I guess you are able to get on top of that Anduin or the Jaina. You can get on top of whoever you want to, if you're willing to dwarf toss in. The Hawka going to get banned out. Don't want to pick up this global for themselves to match the Brightwing, which is interesting. Maybe they have high priority on Blaze as their offlaner, and don't want the double global for Almost Legends Ruby. I'm surprised by the zero presence of Rhaegar in either of these games, and 2 healers already picked would make me believe that there will be no Rhaegar in this match. Wild. I wonder if they're going to save their offlaner for the counter pick here. Or, I'd expect a Blaze. Again. Mei and Blaze, by chance. Yeah, there it is. Mei for X-Havoc. I think that's something they play quite a bit. I remember them playing playing Mei against us. I believe that was on Braxis. So on that point control, it's very strong. And as well on this map, there's a bunch of tight corners you have to get around to get onto the shrine, so the Mei can be very strong. Also, blinds against Tychus are good. It's a Yrel and Asmodan. That's very spicy. This could be Siege Asmodan, which would be... I don't even know how to describe that. I hope it's Siege Asmodan, because I think it's cool. But if it's orbs, that's okay too. If it's auto attacks, then it's even... Lost Viking. Okay. These are 2 drafts. This was not how I was expecting this to go. I did not scout whether or not the Raiders had played the Lost Vikings before. This could be a first. I'll have to check after the game. Asmodan might also be a first for Almost Legends Ruby. I have no clue. And Yrel as well is not a pick I see super often. But I could imagine it being very strong into the Blaze if you could trait the knockback on UL to cancel Blaze's jet propulsion. As well, Brightwing Poly can cancel it, so lots of ways to deal with that specific engage for Almost Legends Ruby. Let's get into the game and not forget to change the screen this time. So, once again, on the left side, in the teal, we have Almost Legends Ruby with Mr. Papercut on 3 Vikings, X Havoc on Mei, Dark Knight on the Blaze, Xerxes 89 on Jaina, Zin 7Z on Anduin. That's just a Viking in that lane. On the right side, in the orange, we have Chicken Meow on the Asmodan, Wiggity on the Brightwing, Krogdon on the Muradin, King on the Tychus, and Conflicted on the Urel. Seems like there's going to be a scuffle in the mid lane. X Havoc going around this bush. I want to see. What did Asmodan go? That is, I believe, the auto attack talent. Jet propulsion onto the Muradin. Phase shift as well to heal him back up. Blaze pops the trait and will be just fine. Meanwhile, Vikings in the top lane and bot lane catching some soak. This Viking got bullied out of it by the UL, but I don't think it's going to die. Third Viking just sitting behind the towers in the mid lane. Four-man of Raiders rotating top lane. This might be their plan to push hard top lane and keep Vikings soaking bot and mid, as those two lanes are closer together, so they would be, in theory, easier to double soak. That is a kill on to... I don't know the Viking name, so I'm just gonna blue Viking. Asmodan pushing in this bottom lane. While they got half of the tower in the top lane and half the wall as well. That's not no value. Seems like the 4-man is rotating to their camp. While Almost Legends Ruby is going to pick up this bottom camp for free and then probably rotate up to their mid camp. Or they may choose to push with it and get their camp after. This does make it significantly harder for the Raiders to clear this camp. Mei uses the icing to go in, but just gonna walk out. No real CC follow-up. Present. They're opting to not go for their own camp. Instead, clearing out the mid lane and then rotating back down. Mei's sitting in that bush, just checking to see if they're on the camp yet. They are not. But now Muradin rotating in, might be looking for a leap onto the backline, stun onto the Mei. They're just gonna walk out. Neither team has started up their Bruiser camp just yet. Seems like Raiders are going to have a head start on theirs. They will be able to kill this before the objective spawns, but Almost Legends Ruby will not. That'll be a slight advantage for the Raiders. Tyke is going to walk up and they're going to just take this free kill onto Eric. Not quite so slippery. Seems like they're completely ignoring the objective and just going for this mid fort. Generally, I would expect the objective to get less than a fort of value, so if they can kill this fort, that is about as much damage as I would expect the objective to do. Given that they've already killed the wall, maybe the expectation for the objective gets higher than a fort. But I find it unlikely that this will be a positive trade for the Raiders. If they kill the fort before they get the objective, then maybe it will be. It seems like they're only keeping the Jaina on here. They're up to 29 out of 40. So this fort will fall before they even capture the objective. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, they're just split pushing. They're using those Asmodan demons to full effect to tank those towers and just go in. That'll be 2 forts for Almost Legends Ruby in just the first 5 minutes of the game. Not even 5 minutes. Objective will go over to the Raiders. If they can't get through this wall, I would call that a one trade for Almost Legends Ruby. Just completely ignoring the objective and playing the opposite side of the map. See how they tank the jump. We're all just going to walk up and get hit by it. Follow-up CC is not in time, and she will just be able to run away. The sidewall did not go down there, so nobody could really run in, and the Blaze was low mana, so he probably couldn't have had too much follow-up anyway. They will get this keep wall. 2-man stun from the Punisher, but still no follow-up. Blaze still very low mana. Difficult for them to take this fight. Difficult for the Raiders to take that fight. Mei is backing in this bush, will get checked by the Muradin. Should have the icing to get out unless it was already used. Pull comes out from the Anduin. Muradin's jump gets cancelled by Anduin. Boop. We're all just going to bonk him away. And Viking getting some value in the volley. Going to take down a significant portion of this wall. Might die for it. Stun misses from the Muradin. Grenade misses, but Jaina will fall regardless. Overkill going to get that kill. This Viking still just sitting down here clearing waves. Hero walks in, rest of the team is on Raiders siege camp. And you're all going to start at this bottom camp. Raiders know about this, but probably cannot contest it, given that, once again, their solo DPS is dead. This Viking is dead. Although, these two Vikings stole this top camp with bribe icing. Nice. And they are bonking you out. While the rest of Almost Legends Ruby picks up this camp in the mid lane. Feels like we're in a bit of a lull state before this next objective. There's no more real things that people can get on the map. All of the camps are down. There's no, like, buildings that are hittable. Like, oh. Phase shift from the Bright Wing. Going to look for these two Viking kills. Polymorph onto one of them. Tychus gets the first and the second. That is 2 more stacks of, what is that, Master Assassin? 5 out of 15 so far. I had not thought about that being into Vikings, where you just get many more takedowns than you would otherwise. But it's a, like, fine meta choice. All of the talents are good at that, level 4. I'm not sure if I would like bigger they are here, just because Asmodan does not deal a ton of damage to heroes, but the other two are good. Master Assassin and Dings in the Widow. That's good. Shrine is going to be spawning in 10-ish seconds, and both teams are positioning around it. Muradin jumps in, stun onto the Mei, follow-up, minigun from the Tychus, and she will icing out. Ult from the Asmodan, that is little demon minions. The Mei is dropping to about 1/3 HP. One Viking falls, Blaze is in the middle of their team traded, Light Bomb going to miss, getting knocked away. Phase shift onto the UL to heal them up. And that is a Viking kill and a Mei kill for Almost Legends Ruby. That should be the objective for them as well. ICC Raiders just opting to take their camp instead of contesting down numbers. Bottom lane, Blaze and UL brawling. There's an extra 1/3 of a hero on the side of Blaze, but if Muradin comes here, they might just be able to one-shot Eric. Stun on the Blaze cancels the jet propulsion, and Haymaker knocks him back under the tower. That Blaze looks rather dead back here. Punisher walking down in the mid lane. Does Mei have trait to tank it? She Did not use the trait to tank it, but just was able to run away anyways. Ice Wall misses. This Punisher is getting shredded very quickly. It's not even getting the full wall. Jaina tanks the leap, but there's no follow-up CC. So, not a whole lot can happen. This camp pushing in the top lane means that they could not commit a full 5 members to the push. And it was not as strong as it could have been. Looking for another Viking kill, stacking up the Tychus. Nice. We're gonna ask to back very low mana. There's not a whole lot going on though, so it should be fine for them. Both teams gonna trade away their mid lane camps. And I would not expect a fight over the bot lane camp in general. I would give the advantage to Almost Legends Ruby, both because they have the 4% scaling advantage, 1 level ahead, and they also have the fort closer, so they have access to a well, a healing well. This will be a fight. Numbers advantage for Almost Legends Ruby, tons of damage onto the Mei, minigun, overkill, damage from the Asmodean Haymaker to knock him back into the team, but a 3-man Ice Wall, and she will try her best to run away. Light Bomb onto the Mei, completely misses. And seems like Raiders are just gonna walk it out after that one. Almost Legends Ruby also about to hit 16, so that was definitely a smart disengage. Taking a look at talents. Biggest one that surprises me is this time Blaze went for Combustion instead of Bunker. Bunker is by far the meta choice. 3 Vikings up here, Grenade lands onto 2, Overkill for the slow. 2 Vikings are going to fall. Play Again is up, so those could be resurrected. They will be resurrected. And that is a 4-man. Appears to be pushed onto this bottom fort if they want it. They do not want it. They're still down 16 for a brief second, and do not want to get caught out in that window where they don't have those talents yet. Asmodean is almost to that 200 stacks mark. 199 now. And Tychus is 11 out of 15, very close to completing Master Assassin. This looks like it's going to be a fight. Blaze Jet Propulsion to get out. Pull on the Jaina. Double stun from the Jaina onto Brightwing and Mirrodin. Tychus shrunk down to half, pops the Odin. Durell jumps in, bonking the Jaina, gets stunned by the Jet Propulsion. Second pull onto the Jaina. Durell pops the Absorb. And 2 Vikings seem like they're going to fall here. Massive stuns, Light Bomb onto 2, Brightwing, and Anub'arak falling super low. Brightwing can blink heal to get out. Tychus getting the kill onto Anduin and 2 Vikings. And the Mei is dropping low as well. Stun from the Mei lands on the 3. The Tychus was just on the edge of that one and won't be able to get that last bit of damage. Jaina is incredibly slowed. Blaze Jet Propulsion misses everyone. And Urel just walks out of there with a quarter HP. 3 Vikings respawn to insta-kill that Brightwing from 1/4 HP and are running down this Tychus as fast as they can. Grenade for self-peel. And Urel should be able to get a boop away if she wants it. Stun. Urel drops to 500 HP, but that is the slow from the Tychus, and this might be another 3 Viking kills. And completed quest on that Master Assassin. I want to see how much attack speed does that give. Another 15%. That's a big damage buff. Big damage boost. Especially during Odin. 25% increased attack speed on top of an already high DPS spell. Very good. Jaina dropping to about a quarter HP from that grenade. Will get the heal. Combustion coming out. Lands on 2. Hang on to the Tychus, but the target is definitely Urel. She will not fall just yet. Jet Propulsion onto Asmodean. Jaina drops super low and will fall. Blaze is down to 200 HP, gets the pull out, but the Stormhammer I honestly can't remember what the spell is called. Muradin's Hammer will pick up that kill. I would expect that's just objective in favor of Almost Legends Ruby, but I also would have expected that Raiders would just immediately get the objective. It seems like they're valuing this fort over the objective for now. Or this camp. Correction. Raiders smartly just sitting in the bottom lane. Vikings going for this bottom camp. UL finishes out the shrine, and they're getting this top camp to push along with it. They do not have Odin or Asmodan's ult for the siege, so it will be less strong than it could be otherwise, but they are up level 20s, which is 2 levels of scaling and a significant talent advantage for Asmodan, Muradin, and Brightwing, who went for the Fairy Dust. Punisher stun on the 2. Haymaker knocks the Mei back. Blaze uses Combustion, tries to save himself. Punisher jump should be coming up in a few seconds. Might land onto the Jaina if they're not careful. Blaze jet propulsion's in, tanks the jump. Muradin jumps in with follow-up stun. Anduin Pull is there to save him for now. No deaths on Raiders is a very good sign. Although they are defending this 4v5. So Odin just came up, and they will use that big red button on the core. Level 20 upgraded. Jaina dropping super low. Down to half, pops the ice block. Vikings just back and came in, hitting the right wing. In this bottom side, Jaina dropping low, gets healed by the Anduin. Right wing does fall to the Lost Vikings, but that is game for Almost Legends Ruby. They just pushed straight core, and that did it. GG's. Although we will have a game 3. So, I'd assume Raiders will go for first pick this time, given that they were forced onto map pick this time. Yeah. I want to take a look at talents again, because I did not get to spend too much time looking at them in game. I want to look at this Asmodan build, because they did go for the auto attack level one, which is this one I see least often. Battleborn, I actually like this talent, because the cooldown reduction is very fun, and you get a lot of demons. Bombardment at 7, they were going full auto attacks. And then this one's good. Globes. Did they reach 400 stacks? I don't think I can check from here, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They definitely reached 400 stacks. Tychus finishing Master Assassin was a big deal. They dealt so much damage with that last big red button Odin at the end. Taking the Jaina down low at the start of the fight, and Muradin was able to zone them off towards the bot lane, while it seemed like, by how quickly the core fell, Tychus was just hitting the core for a large portion of that fight. Pixie Dust, Fire Protector at 20. A lot of times I see Invisible Friends. I really like Invisible Friends on Right Wing at 20. I've never played with this one, but it is almost definitely very good, given that a lot of their damage is coming from this Jaina. So if a Blaze lands a stun into stun on multiple into a Blizzard from the Jaina, having that AoE spell armor would be very, very good. Combustion, odd choice, but I didn't see it do a whole lot. Maybe it got more value than I noticed. Haymaker as well. Interesting choice. It actually got quite a bit of value. They were able to knock the light bomb away in a really key moment in one of those top lane fights around the shrine. For game 3, we are going to Cursed Hollow. It was picked by Almost Legends Ruby. So both teams chose to get that first pick rather than map pick, as expected. I'll let the teams know that I'm ready. and hopefully we'll get into the game shortly. I wonder if Raiders are going to choose to first pick that Tychus this game. It was a really influential pick in the last game. It got them a lot of value on the shrine. And just, I think that Tychus is a really strong hero in the meta. Very versatile. Does like everything that you want a DPS to do. And has a dash too, which is absurd. Yeah, it was really good last game. If they don't first pick it, I would expect Almost Legends Ruby to pick it in their first 2 picks. Although, if they don't pick it, that probably means they're giving up the Anduin, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if Almost Legends Ruby has that high priority on Anduin. I think they picked Brightwing over it in that last match. Maybe they'll still prioritize globals on Cursed Hollow, another big map. They did up to ban out the Hawkeye, I believe. So maybe they'll take that. Who knows? Oh, it seems like everyone is ready. We'll be getting into the game shortly. Move the hat and then they're ready. Okay.
Cursed Hollow.
First ban is going to be that Brightwing. They that's definitely a target ban from that last game. It was not something that they banned even in the third ban game 1. Maybe they'd already shown healer game 1, but it's not something that they were super worried about in game 1. And it did a lot of work in game 2. Another big map, good for Brightwing, good for globals in general. The second pick team has been consistently first panning the Joanna all 3 of these games. Interesting. Second ban onto the Dahaka. That's a switcheroo. Almost Legends Ruby did ban that in the last game, so both teams are aware of it as a threat. Seems like, are Raiders going to first pick a Falstad and just say, let's ban out these 2 globals and take the only global for ourselves? I've seen Raiders play Falstad in multiple games and have good gust, good damage. That would not be surprising to me. Stukov once again going to be the ban. They do not like Stukov. They're going for Sylvanas instead. So the Falstad as a global is still up and available. Sylvanas is another strong split pusher though. Black Arrow is able to shut down forts, similar to the Curse, so you can get a strong counter push even if the opponent has a Curse on you. Would not be surprised to see a Tychus in these first 2 picks. There's Anduin and a Tychus. Those are both hotly contested in these 2 games. Anduin has a 100% presence being picked in both games. So far it has a 0% win rate. It has lost both games, but I don't think that it was the Anduin's fault. Very strong hero. Pull is very good. Lucio once again being picked into the Anduin, and Deathwing is a new pick. Currently that is on Dark Knight, who I believe was off-laning. They played Blaze both of those previous games, so off-laning in the past, but they could swap it and play a 4-man Deathwing. Maybe with something like a Leoric, who knows? Leoric Deathwing is a fun combo with Entomb into the Flame Breath. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it is some Flame Breath from Deathwing. Third ban is the Falstaff, taking all 3 globals off the map. Makes sense. I guess they don't want to pick it up themselves. Murder. Do not want to deal with Murden plus Anduin. It's a strong combo with Lightlong. You can stick it on Murden and then just jump in.
This realm needs me.
Li Ming, so I would expect something like an Anub'arak or Varian as the tank to add some CC. Yeah, there's Anub'arak. They had the Anduin. Both of these Anduins have been very good at following up on CC with that Chastise. The Anduin's E route. Abathur. So I guess that is the 4th global. Abathur Lucio is annoying. I wonder what they're going to pick for a tank. It's going to be May again? Illidan. Deathwing tank? I guess. Abathur, Illidan, Sylvanas, Lucio, Deathwing. That's a draft I haven't seen. And a Chen. Lots and lots of fun heroes here. This is going to be a good game, no matter how it goes. I personally hate Abathur Illidan, so I hate that they picked it, but it's good, so I can't blame them. They do have some amount of lockdown for it with Anub'arak, but the evasion is going to be difficult for the Tychus to deal with. And if they go Spell Armor, it has a lot of burst. I think that there's a Spell Armor talent for the Illidan, if I remember correctly. They'll have a lot of protection from the Li Ming's burst as well. They will be reliant on that Spell Armor for burst protection, because Lucio does not have a ton of burst protection.
Prepare yourself for battle, heroes.
Okay. For the last time, Game 3, on the left side in the teal, we have Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders. We have Mr. Papercut on the Illidan, Zinzi on Lucio, Xerxes on Sylvanas, X-Havoc on Deathwing. So they did swap that around, because Dark is now on Abathur. On the right side in the orange, we have Krogdon on Anub'arak, King on Li Ming, Conflicted on Tychus, Wiggity on the Anduin, and in the top lane we have Chen, played by Chicken Meow. Both teams going for their vision early. Deathwing just going to leave his puddle in the bush, make sure there's no one sitting around there that shouldn't be. Ice-Crowned Citadel Raiders is going to clear this first wave significantly faster than Almost Legends Ruby, and they will have a rotational advantage as Abathur is soaking the bot lane, sitting in the wave, and Illidan just going in on the top lane. Getting some stack. Until the Illidan gets stacked, I would not expect the Raiders to be taking too many fights. They will be much stronger in the late game. I don't know if they will be able to beat Almost Legends Ruby in the late game, but they definitely need some time to scale. This bottom lane, I might have expected the Abathur and Li Ming to go for more siege damage onto these towers, but instead they're going to look for a rotation into the mid lane. Lucio is going to catch them out and demount them, make sure nobody is getting hurt. Deathwing gonna just use Flame Breath to clear out that mid-wave very, very quickly. Though, the wave falls even faster to the Li Ming and Tychus Grenade. Abathur once again just sit in the wave catching soak. Tychus gonna start up the siege camp, and we have Sylvanas starting up. Sylvanas and Lucio starting up their boozing. Tychus should be able to take this without taking a significant amount of damage because of the projectile attacks. Almost Legends we have 3 people in the bot lane, so they need to be sure they don't miss any soak in the mid lane. Seems like they'll miss a couple of minions, and Deathwing is going to get a little bit of siege damage onto these towers. Missing like a full wave, half a wave, only half a wave, is rough. That is a very slight XP lead. Nothing major though. Tychus just walking up and minigunning the Deathwing down to about half health. Still has 3 plates, just gonna tap and be fine. First objective is spawning, and the Raiders have a camp advantage in the mid lane. I would not be too surprised if they just choose to push with that camp instead of going for the objective, given that they do not have a strong teamfighting comp until later. Objective is spawning in 3 seconds, and they have not yet made an attempt to rotate down for it, instead opting to get a lot of damage onto this mid lane wall. Deathwing just sitting around, would look for a stall if someone started capping, but nobody has started capping yet. In the top lane, Illidan is here, Abathur is just sitting, whacking the Chen. Nobody has been able to get a significant amount of Chen yet. These Siege Giants kill the full bottom wall for almost Legends Ruby. Stuns onto the Lucio. Anduin's Root is just barely going to miss. Push off from the wall, getting Lucio to safety. This is so silly. Interrupt from the Sylvanas. Lucio just running around and being annoying. But Deathwing dropping mines. 2 cancels. They should have 1 more. Another cancel from the Sylvanas. Meanwhile, Illidan in the mid lane with the Abathur. Gonna start slapping this middle fort. Tychus and Li Ming rotating up. Illidan should be able to get to safety. Using the dash to get to the wall. I did not realize you could use that on structures. That's really smart. Currently 3v3 in the bottom lane. But the Abathur hat is down here as well, or was down here as well. Deathwing gonna use the Cataclysm to just get it down to the bot lane. That... Wait. Tychus finds the Abathur just sitting in the other side jungle, and Illidan is gonna burn to death from the Chen's flame breath. I don't know what it's actually called. But he will die. That is 2 kills for almost Legends Ruby. And Tychus just hitting this mid lane, Chen getting value in the top lane. Mule coming down to heal this tower back up, and it is not cleared by the Tychus overkill just yet. Deathwing, stop being so annoying, please. Root from the Anduin comes out onto Lucio, but follow-up from the Li Ming is not there. She was channeling the objective. And there's another Deathwing stall. This objective has been going on for so long. Tychus did get that first mid lane tower. Deathwing dropping in aggressively just to get cancels and then walk straight out. Is that another... Oh. Dark dropping really low on the Abathur. Half HP, but there's a small health pool hero. And Tychus gets this full wall in the mid lane. Deathwing lands a stun onto the Anubrak, but 65 spell and they're going to be able to just walk out with Flame Breath. Combo from the Li Ming onto the Lucio, and Cataclysm is back up in the time that it took for them in the time that they were stalling out this objective. Li Ming seems like finally this first objective will go over to Almost Legends Ruby. Illidan taking the siege camp. I'd expect Tychus to rotate onto their siege camp. Maybe Sylvanas and Lucio going to once again start Bruiser. Deathwing here to help as well. Bottom lane, Li Ming catching waves. Anduin sitting back in the mid lane. Fighting in the top lane. On the sea. Illidan being annoying and just bonking Chen. I don't know if there's a real purpose to the bonking. Chen dropping to half, but you can just walk out. You might need to tap after that. Mid lane, Bruiser camp for Raiders. Almost Legends Ruby have not gotten their Bruiser camp. And Illidan actually taking what seems like the bad end of the trade. Will Abathur be able to save it? The Flame Breath misses. Chen drinking. Hunt onto the Chen, and that is a kill for Illidan. Abathur helping out as well. I'll give Abathur partial credit. This Spell Armor unit has not yet been killed by Almost Legends Ruby. So that will continue to give this fight legs for the Raiders, even though they're outnumbered currently. Wave will be cleared. Illidan will get the objective in the top lane, that's 1-1. And this siege camp will get cleared out with minimal damage onto the fort. I'm happy to see the Deathwing fireballs not being used for interrupts and not extending that objective for 20 minutes. Although I'm sure I'll have to watch it later in the game. Looking for Keg onto the Illidan, he will go down. I missed the start of that engage, but by the end of it he was very out of position. I'm going to guess that he just got knocked like endlessly out, not out position, but forced away from where he wanted to stand by the Chen. Tychus finding a second kill just onto the Abathur on his own. Was he just standing underneath the fort? That's not a safe place to stand. You have no wall. Maybe they just didn't see the Tychus. Who knows? Either way, that is definitely an advantage, at least for the start of this, for Almost Legends Ruby, but by the time Abathur spawns, he can effectively be there, because Global Hero and all that. Although, Illidan uses the Hunt and gets a kill on the Tychus in the bottom lane. Chen going in onto this Sylvanas, she will unstoppable and get away, just barely not getting hit by that Anduin's Chastise. These two are going to pick up the... Are they dueling the boss? I think they can do that. Is this Deathwing stalling? It sure is. They do get the objective though before the Deathwing falls, and that Deathwing is going to be able to Cataclysm right into the corner where you will die to the entire team. Although, okay, they are going to start their boss up, and because they are currently 5v4, this will just be a trade of bosses. Because Raiders got their boss first, they might be able to get extra value out of it. Sylvanas, also using the Black Arrows, will be able to shut down both of these towers. So this will be probably a very close to full health boss, pushing onto their keep wall once they kill this fort. Tyke is going to get the siege camp to slow that down a bit. And I would not be too surprised if both teams just back off and go clear the other team's boss. There's also a chance that Raiders decide to prioritize the objective over clearing the boss. And it will get that fort, but it shouldn't get too much value onto their keep wall. Almost Legends will be sending the Tychus to hit the boss for a bit. It's going to get one tower. In the top lane, this boss with the Chen will take the fort. Currently this is a 3v3 around the objective. 3v4, Abathur uses the ultimate evolution from Sylvanas. and Hunt goes in onto the Anduin. Silencing Arrow onto the Anub'arak, Light Bomb stun onto 2, and the Illidan will fall. Resets for the Li Ming. Anduin drops super low. The Anub'arak just barely survives. Dropping super low, that 65 spell armor coming in clutch. Li Ming gets another reset onto the Deathwing, and that is 3 kills for Almost Legends Ruby, and that will be a curse for them as well. Xerxes gets stunned out of the dash away, cannot reactivate it while you are stunned, and dies to Li Ming. That was, in particular, that last kill on the Sylvanas, I would be upset. That did not look like fun. They should be able to get at least these 2 outer forts. The minions will kill this if they don't respawn, but currently Almost Legends Ruby are sending all 5 of their members down into the bot lane. They're looking to take this keep. If they get kills, they might be able to end the game, although they're not level 20 yet, and that is when I would really expect them to start looking bad. Tychus dealing so much damage to Deathwing, with bigger they are at level 4, dealing a significant amount of bonus damage when they're above that, with 25% health mark. Light Bomb just immediately deletes the Lucio along with the Li Ming combo. This is Odin used as well. Deathwing jumping into the middle of the team will not die this time. Flame Breath onto the Shen drops them really low. They're going to use the barrel just to run away. And this should be a good disengage for Almost Legends Ruby. Oh, Hunt goes in onto the Tychus, but that's a just turn around immediately from Raiders. Deathwing. Cataclysm in, stun onto the Tychus, but they just turn around and start hitting the Deathwing back. This does not look good for the Raiders. Anub'arak comes in over the wall and has enough damage, along with Li Ming, to take out the Deathwing. This should be a camp invade for Almost Legends Ruby. I don't know if they will be able to get that siege camp as well. Only Deathwing is dead and only for another 30 seconds. But they should be able to get at least this camp and the 2 on their side of the map if they want them. Would also not be surprised if Li Ming chooses to back, because she is low mana. This mid fort did fall just to minions during the curse. Nobody stayed there to defend it, which is probably a good choice given how hard Almost Legends Ruby were pushing the bot lane. Illidan picks up this top lane siege, evening out the map a bit. I want to take a look at talents, because I have the chance to. What stands out? There was the Hunt, that's been used a few times as a single engage tool. Seems like every time that has been used, they've just immediately turned and tried to kill the Illidan. Which is a good choice. Especially if it's not being used as like some sort of follow-up engage. When the Illidan is just going in on his own, it is much easier to isolate it. Although, I'm looking at other forms of engage on their team, and there is not a whole lot. Because the Sylvanas opted for the silencing and whirling arrow instead of mind control, she does not have that hard CC to lock down a single target. Whirling arrow is still very strong, might be the correct choice here. But it does mean that they definitely lack CC for the Illidan to follow up on. Other than that, just not having a straight engage tank instead of having this Deathwing means that they have having a harder time taking fights on their turn. Almost Legends Ruby opting to start up the opponent's boss. This is in the lane with no keep, so this boss pushing on the core could just end the game for Almost Legends Ruby. The curse in the top lane is not the third one for the Raiders. They will pick it up. Looks like, yeah, it's just 4-man, 5-man push through the bot lane. All 10 ults are available, and Raiders are backing now to try to defend this core. Li Ming starting to just poke straight onto it. Deathwing dropping some meteors, getting dismounts. Aptha sitting in the top lane, but he'll be able to ult in when he needs to. Illidan kiting out the boss's attack. Tychus spreading the Deathwing with bigger they are. Illidan uses the Hunt to go in onto the Anduin and immediately goes out. Chen is hitting straight core. Odin used all of Almost Legends Ruby are just going straight core. And their health bars are not dropping low enough for me to think that they will not be able to end this game. Core is down to 20%. They're all still above half HP. That is the game for Almost Legends Ruby. GG's. Well played. That was a very intense set. In those second two games, Almost Legends Ruby, by the end of the game, had developed a significant experience lead and had the 20 advantage for a while. And they were able to use that to close out games, which is impressive on its own. It speaks to their macro abilities, I guess. They can end games. Take another look at talents. Liming going for full E-build Calamity. Very good. I'm a fan. Lucio high five once again. Hunt. Well arrow, as I talked about. Maybe needed mind control. I don't know who you could really mind control consistently, because Anduin does have the pull, so even if you land a mind control, it's like, unless it's on the Anduin, they're probably just going to get pulled. Cocoon from the Anubrak I barely saw being used. Maybe I just missed it every time. But I just didn't notice it. Tychus not going for a big red button at 20. Going for overkill channeling. I'm guessing that they took that because they were getting ulted by the Illidan and didn't want to get 100 to 0. I'm going to check Discord. See if Almost Legends Ruby would like an interview. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Good games. They were very entertaining. And welcome, Conflicted as well.
Hello.
So, do you have any initial thoughts about those games? How did they feel for you?
They were really fun. Like, shout out to ICC for putting together some really good and also entertaining comps. It was a lot of fun. And yeah.
I saw an Abathur, which is not too common, Abba Illidan, and also Lost Vikings.
Yep.
Two more fringe strategies. Did not work out for them, but what advice would you give to a team trying to beat those kinds of strategies, those kinds of like more weirdo comps?
I would say you need to cover the basics. You need to make sure that you're not too zoned in on you need to make sure that you have the wave clear to deal with something like Vikings or Abathur or Illidan. Cover your bases, and then, stick to what's good for you. That's what we did. We put Chicken on Chin in that last match, and let him talk about how Chin versus Illidan goes down. Maybe that's something.
Yeah, Chin has a talent that just lets him ignore basic attacks for a few seconds, and Illidan has that built into his like base kit. So it comes down to experience in that matchup, especially with the Illidan hat on top of, or the Abathur hat on top of Illidan. it just comes down to like who has played that matchup more
Mhm.
and who has more experience dealing with the opponent in that situation, because it's a fairly even
Yeah.
matchup.
If I'm remembering correctly, you both got kills in that side lane. I think you got a solo kill onto the Abathur earlier, and then later on,
Yeah,
Abbott
yeah.
got a kill
There
on
was
you.
one point where I was definitely running away. I had maybe 0.2 second cooldown on my
Mhm.
stagger to reduce the damage I was taking. I tried to run a loop around some geometry on the map
I think
to just
they just
lure
hunted you,
him.
right?
Yeah, I tried to run a loop around some geometry on the
Mhm.
map, hoping he would just go grab the experience orbs or something. And he just really committed to chasing me down, and
Yep.
it didn't work out in my favor.
There was one play in particular from the Chen that I thought was rather disgusting. You just knocked the Sylvanas into the wall while her E was flying out, and she just was perma-stunned and could not dash to it. It looked like not very fun for them.
Yeah, so I think one thing we really like to do, at least on our team and on maps like that in particular, where there are big points you want to control, like bosses. So on a map like Cursed Hollow or Sky Temple, we like banning out a hero like Falstad and then picking Chen, because the ultimates from both of those characters essentially do the same thing for your team, which is
Mhm.
they create those opportunities to pin somebody against a wall and lock them down and guarantee that you can get the kill.
Yeah.
But also they create really big uh, spaces on the map where you you tell your team, like, or and the other team as well, like you tell everybody on the map, we're going to control this area, um, we're going to capture this boss, and it doesn't matter what you're going to do. It doesn't matter if you're going to try to jump in here, because I have repeating gust or wandering keg, and it's going to knock everybody out.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember back to that game one and what happened. That was
It was
you were
a
winning that game up until the very, very end. You were winning and
yeah,
then you lost.
yeah. We were winning. We were winning for sure, but it was still close. It
Yeah,
wasn't like
definitely.
it wasn't becoming a stomp or anything. It was close enough to where, yeah, man, they like. I mean, it's just a classic. Like you stay a little bit too long, they blaze stun 4 of your heroes,
Mhm.
and wash your hands. That game's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, good on them for pulling the trigger and because if they don't get the backline kills there, they might not end that game right there. But
Yeah.
they were able to clean up 4 out of the 5 heroes, which was enough to do it. Plus, I would say that they took care of that top lane throughout the game. They were kind of like
Mhm.
making sure that, like,
Oh.
they had 3 katas as well on
Yeah.
that core push. So them keeping the top fort kind of enabled that final core push. So yeah, it
I
was a
don't
good
actually
play.
think that they had the top fort up at that point. Both top forts were down, but
Oh, okay.
they. I noted as you were pushing in the objective that they had the push in the top lane. The wave was pushing for them.
For
They had a
sure.
wave
Yeah.
building up, and that ended up being very impactful in that last push. They just had minions after they put the wall.
Oh man, 3 katas just plus like 2 full minion waves, just
Yeah,
nuke
yeah,
to the core, in addition to the hero damage. Yeah.
And if I could interject too,
go for it.
the one thing that happens a lot when we lose games is we tend to point the finger at one another, like, why did you pick such a complicated hero to play? Why didn't you not just pick somebody easy, like a Varian or a Rainer, or somebody who just kind of points and clicks, right?
Mhm.
And in that game one, a lot of us picked those kind of micro heavy, execution heavy heroes.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody who did so played really, really well. And the loss ultimately came down to just a bad call for the team overall,
Mhm.
as opposed to any one player like missing skill shots or overstaying. It was a really interesting loss insofar that it was just a bad call for the team overall. Everybody together collectively did something stupid, and we paid the price for it. And those are close games like that are actually really fun to play.
Yeah,
I,
they're
re- I
really fun
really
to
don't
watch too.
mind. I don't mind losing like that. It doesn't irritate me or make me point the finger at my teammate and say, why'd you miss your skill shots there in the last fight? So it was a
That was
very fun
definitely
game.
your fault, chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, I did miss a few dragon arrows. Threaded the needle on a few of them. So
How dare you miss skill shots? I've
Well,
never missed a skill shot in my life.
Yeah, he was the only one alive after that, actually.
Yep. Only one alive, and then I believe he just went and tussled over the bot camp with their offlaner for a little bit.
Oh, he straight ninja'd it, but it didn't matter. Yeah. Fun night.
Do you have any people things you would like to shout out?
Oh, I don't know. Not really. Shout out to our team for sticking in there. It's as the season drags on, like we're excited to play, but also like other things come up. So, happy that everyone's still showing up and playing hard. So looking forward to playoffs.
Great.
shout out my dude Conflicted.
God
Well,
bless.
thank you very much for the interview. Thank you very much for the games. Thank you as
and
well
thank you
to
for casting. It's always great.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially on this final week of the regular season. Very awesome to have a caster cast this. I mean, we're going into playoffs now. Just this is when the season gets actually really, really exciting for everybody. So really looking forward to it.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I mostly wanted to cast this game because I wanted to see who my team would be playing next.
Right.
Currently in the seeding, you secured second with this win, right?
I believe so.
So our team is most likely going to be placed sixth. So it'll be ICC Kauai versus ICC Raiders is a very likely matchup for week 1 of playoffs.
Is that exciting for you, or is that more like, oh man,
It's
I really
scary.
didn't want
They're a
to?
very good team.
Yeah. Okay, well, best of luck. Yeah.
Thank you.
In some sense, I guess it's kind of like, oh, it's too bad that like we both can't like progress because one of us is gonna get knocked out.
Yeah. But one of us will make it to round 2, so
That's
that's
true.
a guarantee. Okay, well, thank you very much, and have a good
Thank
night.
you. You as well. See you later.
Yeah, thanks for the guys. Appreciate it.
I'm going to cut it there.